Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 10 of the Sorcery walkthrough. My name is Cowdog, and we are in Altus Plateau. Currently level 70. Same Academy Glintstone staff and Staff of Loss. Pretty much everything on the build is still exactly the same, just a few more points in Vigor and Intelligence. First thing we got to do is get the map fragment, which is way up here. Now, you can access Altus in 3 different ways. You can take the Runestone precipice and beat the Magma Worm Makar. Excuse me, jeez, ate something bad. You can fight Magma Worm Makar at the top of the Runestone precipice here in Liurnia. You can get both halves of the Grand Lift of Dectus. The first one is in Castle Fort Height, right here. The second one is in, can't remember the name of this fort, but it's right here. That will take you to the top of the Grand Lift of Dectus. Or you can take the shortcut through Rea Lucaria at the bottom of the water wheel by getting captured on the twin, what do they call them, adductor virgins. That will then teleport you to the inside of Volcano Manor. It does require that you defeat a dual abductor virgin fight in order to actually enter the plateau. So Magma Worm Makar is probably the easiest of those 3 options, although the Dectus Lift does not actually require any fighting. It does require quite a lot of running. So our first target is going to be to get the map fragment, so let's go ahead and do that. Along the way, we already triggered the dragon fight, which is a temporary dragon fight that I believe is Ancient Dragon. Oh, I can't remember the name. Not Landsax. Anyway. Oh, no, here he comes again. It is Landsax. Okay, so you can fight this dragon. However, you cannot actually beat and kill this dragon. As soon as you do about roughly 40% of the dragon's hit points, you will cause the dragon to run away. Now, as you can see, it does a significant amount of damage. I honestly recommend that you don't fight this thing. Simply run past is probably the best option. If you really want to waste your time, go ahead and do it. You will be fighting this dragon for real later on in Altus Plateau in the capital outskirts. So, head up this way. We'll have a Site of Grace up at the top here. We should also encounter Millicent and possibly Rhea from the encounter we had with her in Liurnia.
In truth, the Scarlet as such, though rather than realize I could have ate. Now after Unleashed, I should like, I think she's in the lands.
So she tells you that the next spot that she's going to go to is in the north, which is up here by the windmills. You do need to actually clear the castle, the shaded castle up on the far side of those mountains up ahead to get the Valkyrie's prosthetic arm to give her first before she'll move. Otherwise, she'll sit here the entire time. Rhea, I think, should be right over here on the other side of the Grace. If she's not, she will be at her other location, which is the top of the Dectus Lift. And if you talk to her, she will send you directly to Volcano Manor. Oh, there she is. So make sure you activate that Site of Grace first, because when she sends you here, you will need to fast travel back. Now, the Volcano Manor is going to be its own separate video, so all I'm going to do is activate the Grace and then immediately leave. If you talk to the leader here, you will join Volcano Manor, and you'll miss out on a couple of interactions with patches in Mount Gelmir, so we're going to avoid doing that. Otherwise, there's no actual harm. So, but that activates that Site of Grace. We're going to head right back here to the Erdtree Gazing Hill. Now, Altus Plateau is actually broken up into a number of different areas. You have the main area here, which should be revealed as soon as we get that map marker. Which, as I said, will be the first thing I'm going to do. Altus Plateau also has the capital outskirts, and then, of course, the capital city itself. To the west, you have Gelmir, which is a separate zone from Volcano Manor proper. So each one of those will get its own video. Now, Altus Plateau, pretty easy, although there is a lot of variety with different enemy types. So some of them may prove easier for you that causes problems for other people. There's always this sort of theme with Dark Souls games. Some people will find one boss extremely difficult and you will breeze straight through it, and vice versa. So I will not place any judgment on any fight one way or another. I'll just show you how they are done with Sorcery. So, right next to the map marker, we have Brother Corin. Once he has moved to this location, he actually sells additional items. So if you are doing an incantation build, you now have access to a great heal, and I believe Discus of Light. No, he will need to move to his third location, which is a little bit further north. So he tells you about Gold Mask. This is one of the endings of the game, so make sure you do talk to him about this. Eventually, through many, many, many different quest stages, you will reach that point, and I'll show you how to do that. Gold Mask is actually up here on this bridge for the time being, so this is the area that we are going to go ahead and explore and knock out in this video. Now, there's some overlap. Mount Gilmere covers this area over here, but also has some parts of Altus Plateau in it. I'll go ahead and grab the map marker up here for Gelmir, just so that you can see the parts of the Altus Plateau that I'm going to do. Similarly, here with this map marker for the capital outskirts, it does reveal some of the parts of the Altus Plateau that will be covered in this video. So that's our next step. Up here to Volcano Manor. So without talking to anyone, you can head straight out the front door. A couple of enemies here we will not be fighting, since these are all part of the Mount Gelmir video. Whoop. A little bit too early to jump off there. On the spot right here. Now, as you're doing this quick run, just keep in mind there are some enemies, such as these hands, that will pop up, and right here there's a giant hand. So make sure that you grab that map marker and then immediately run away over here to the side of Grace. Otherwise, you'll end up having to fight those pretty annoying enemies, which are a little bit higher level than us right now. Okay, so this reveals this section here, which is part of Altus Plateau. And next, we're going to head all the way up to this next map marker over here. And basically, we're going to head straight across, like so. We're going to skip a boss, right? A couple bosses to get the map marker. And then we'll start clearing the area. By the end of Altus Plateau, I'm going to cut myself off at level 80. In fact, I probably should do those levels now, just for the simplification. Once you get into the capital, things begin to become stupidly easy if you go much past level 90, especially the final boss of the capital. It's very, very, very easy to overlevel by the time you get to the capital. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Couple more into vigor. Actually, I'm going to go to 30 and call it 41. So level 80. So with our Wondrous Physic active, what does that bring us to? 54 intelligence. So 6 more points and I'll be able to use the Carrion Regal Scepter. Now, if you are falling behind at this point, 10 levels doesn't make that big of a difference, and there is more than enough runes throughout the Altus Plateau to catch up. So don't worry about that. You will catch up very, very quickly. All right. If you recall, during the Caria Manor video. We already did a run similar to this to get the Amber Starlight. That was part of the Celibus quest to get the Magic Scorpion Charm. This is only slightly past that. In fact, I'm going to grab Sights of Grace this time, since I'm actually clearing the area. So be aware that if you try to go up the middle here on the stairs, there are numerous enemies. There are guys with giant ballista crossbows. There are knights with great bows. It's pretty much a nightmare, so stick to the left here. Be aware, as these guys right here are standing guard, there is a rune bear up ahead. You do not have to fight it. No, this little guy right here is not the rune bear. The rune bear is a rune bear. He is right up ahead. Now, you don't have to fight him, as I said. You can go right past him. In fact, you probably want to go to the left here to avoid that guy entirely. Rune bears, as always, are not worth fighting. They don't really drop any kind of good runes. They don't drop items. Occasionally, they will drop crafting materials, and that is the extent of what you get out of rune bears. Overall, just a fat waste of time. The next challenge we have, 2 tree sentinels at the same time. You, again, do not have to fight these. In fact, I recommend you run right past them. There is a Sight of Grace right up ahead. And on top of that, there are 2 golden seeds, which I will be grabbing. And this should bring me to a total 4 and 8. So 8 blue flasks is more than enough for the entire remainder of the game. You should not ever get anywhere even near running out of spell points at this point. So any additional seeds that you get should go straight into healing. 4 healing potions is more than enough for the style of combat I have been showing you. And 8 FP potions will let you cast even the most expensive spells without ever running dry. So, all right. So our limitations are going to be the wall, of course. We're not going to be doing the capital outskirts itself. Those are everything inside the wall here. Everything outside the wall, everything outside of this bridge here, including this is going to be part of Altus. And then everything else down here, this is all part of technically Gelmir, but let's go ahead and start, I guess, at the bottom. We'll fight Godefroy, not Godfrey, not Godric, but Godefroy, the Grafted. He is the Godric the Grafted fight number 2. And along the way, there's a couple of items. There'll be a Scarab here and Rune Arc and a couple of items. And the golems here. At the top of the lift, we will not be fighting, but there is a Sight of Grace right here. So go ahead and get that rolling. All right. I believe, actually, there's also a Knight's Cavalry. So resting here should bring Bach. Go ahead and pass until nightfall to make that Knight's Cavalry show up.
Ready to make master your war and
so Vok complains that I am wearing royal garb from a demigod that he cannot work with, but if you give him the golden sewing needle, he then gets a boost in confidence. And he talks a bit about his mother some more and wants to call you Lord. You should definitely let him call you Lord. It makes him very, very happy and is part of his quest. So you get a gesture, which is pretty awesome. Garment altering is not affected in any way whatsoever, so just keep that in mind. Okay, there's that Knight's Cavalry. We'll go ahead and fight him now. Does absolutely nothing different than any other Knight's Cavalry. Smoked. Okay, so in addition to the Knight's Cavalry, along this road there is an invisible scarab, which will put off this little ground effect here. Very, very difficult to notice. I did not discover this myself. I found out about it on a video, I don't remember when, a couple of years ago. Very, very, I don't know who discovered that the first time. Somebody probably hit it by accident while fighting something else. Next up, small encampment of Misbegotten. Stone Sword Key. I thought for sure it was a rune arc, but I must be forgetting and confusing it with something else. Either way, all clear. Now, I don't believe that you can safely drop down right here. It's been a little while since I've come through here, so I don't actually remember, but I believe you have to go around, yes. The path to get down here is actually an underground passage over here. Keep in mind also, if you get too close, there's two golems here, one with a halberd, one with a bow. The one with the bow will shoot at you, as you can see. He's bringing up his bow right now, so take cover from that. And there's a conveniently placed Site of Grace right here. Small note, if you do have both halves of the medallion, the Dectus Lift medallion, the golems will not attack you on sight. You have to actually attack them first. Okay, and don't remember, you need to go a little ways up before you can actually drop down. Stealing string from demi-humans. Somewhere, here we go. Let me drop down right here. So along the way, might as well clear out this camp. Now, at the top of the ridge up there with those banners, there are guys with ballista crossbows, so you want to take them out first, otherwise they will shoot at you while you're trying to loot the camp. All clear. And there are two items here. There is the Great Shield Talisman, which reduces the amount of stamina damage you take when you block, and the Troll's Golden Sword. This is a colossal sword that scales very, very well with faith and sacred or flame art affinities. While in the tunnel, there are a couple of vulgar militia. Honestly, waste of time. I'm just going to run right past them. The boss fight here with Godefroy is effectively it's phase 2 of the Godric fight. However, this guy does not have the dragon grafted onto his arm, so his moveset is actually weaker. He does do more damage than Godric, but otherwise is basically a simpler fight. Tactics are no different than fighting Godric. Slightly different arena shape, but you're just going to run in a circle and keep your distance from him while blowing him up. He does the same projectile, which You simply need to dodge twice. And he's being strangely passive. Nobody ever accused the Godric family line of having high intelligence scores. He at least normally charges at me. There we go. Good old roll behind and carry and slicer should take care of Godefroy. However, he does give you the Godfrey Icon Talisman, which, while equipped, will increase the damage of charged spells and Ashes of War. This is potentially very, very good for spellcasting if you do find yourself using a lot of charged up attacks. So, for instance, when you have Night Comet, you can fast cast, like so. You can also hold down the button to charge up for a more powerful hit. The Godfrey icon will enhance the damage of any attack charged up like that. Okay, Lux Ruins next. This is the Ritual Sword Talisman. This is another potentially very, very good talisman for our spellcasting build. As long as you are at maximum hit points, you will get, I believe, 10% or 15% increase in all damage output. This is multiplicative with your Magic Scorpion Charm, your Magic Crack Tier, and any other damage modifiers you may have equipped. Basically what it means is that simply it's not going to be 10% plus 15% equals 25%. It will be multiplied. So the more of those effects that you have, the better it gets. If you find yourself getting damaged quite often, the Ritual Sword Talisman may not be the best choice. It is a risk versus reward type item. So the trade-off is, of course, and the general strategy is that if you're doing more damage, you have less chances to make mistakes and enemies die more quickly. So use at your own risk. In addition, there is a scarab here somewhere. Missed that little dude. There we go. This is one of those scarabs where if it notices that you are close, it will teleport to somewhere else. So, take care of the little demi-human turds first. Get surrounded and getting staggered by the horse because the horse has no poise. For whatever reason. Okay. Now that they're all dead, blast this thing. Shield Crash. Pretty good for shield users. Ash of War. Down here we have a boss, which is another demi-human queen. Does a quick opening animation where it throws its staff on the ground and freaks out, so activate your Wondrous Physic and basically go full auto-fire, and you should be able to kill it before it even has a chance to do anything. Like so. Probably didn't even need to use the physic. No, I was waiting for the talisman to drop, but it's in a chest. There we go. Okay, do I have an open slot? Yes, I'm going to replace the Graven School Talisman because I believe the School Talisman is only like 2 to 3% or something, whereas the Ritual Sword Talisman is a much, much higher percent. Alright, we already cleared this camp. There are some more of the tents up here for the knights in the camp, so let's do those next. Golden Seed, always good to have more of those. Let's see, I have a couple of Patrolling Omens. if we do this right, I should be able to shoot... Oh, nope, I lost target lock for some reason. Come on. There we go. The way this game's target lock works is complete nonsense. Oop. I'm gonna kill this last guy to get my potion charges back. There we go. And I'm not at max hit points. Yeah, this thing about the Ritual Sword Talisman, even if you take like 1 pixel of damage, you lose the benefit. So it is sometimes a little annoying to use. Alright, Sacrificial Twig. We got a couple more of these small enclosures. I believe there's a pumpkin head. Yep. Probably one of the fastest pumpkin head kills I've ever had. And he did not drop anything good, and I believe, yep, this is the last one. So I got a fancy hat, and I thought that there was a chest here, but nope, guess I'm wrong. Okay. So that's the southern section. Let's go ahead and proceed up here. There's a Ash of War on a scarab here, and then we'll do this cave. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we head up the road to this? We'll do Yura's quest, where we fight Eleonora, and this is where you would obtain both the Nagakiba, which is Yura's extra long Sephiroth katana, and Eleonora is, of course, an NPC invader, where if you defeat her, you will get the Wondrous Physic tier, which is used specifically to fight Moog, the Lord of Blood. Super dramatic name. So around this area there are 2 or 3 of these blood dogs. You do want to take them out first before you attempt to do any kind of fighting against Eleonora. If the fight ends up going outside the chapel here, you really do not want to be fighting her and a couple of these dogs at the same time. That is a recipe for disaster. I think that was all of them, just the 2. Yep. So make sure you top off your magic points. Talk to Yura here. He tells you a bunch of things about slicing the finger off, etc., etc. Drops his sword. And then Eleonora should pop up here in just a moment. At the far end of the chapel. There we go. Once again, Night Comet allowing us to blast away without automatically dodging, trivializing any fight against an NPC invader. Okay. Now we can drop down and grab these 2 items. The scarab that has this Ash of War is floating midway in the air, right in the middle of this small swamp-like area. This guy right here. This is the Blood Blade. I believe that is very similar to the Ash of War that the Reduvia dagger uses. Don't worry about the trolls that aggroed right there. Once you get inside the cave, they are obviously too large to fit. They may shout at you, so make sure you get a little bit of cover from the side. Pretty standard stuff with caves. Usually there's some sort of item here in these side passages. In this case, it's just cracked crystals. Nothing really important. Take this opportunity to reset the flasks. So inside this cave we have, mostly it's going to be Leyendell knights and soldiers. The final boss is a large troll which can actually be exploded. As you can see, there's lots of red barrels in this place which you can use to your advantage. Also, to your disadvantage if you're too close when they explode. Mostly it's going to be smithing stone 4s and 5s. Okay, so down below, you got soldiers and knights. I believe there's another set. You can't see them from here, but there's another set of I think there's 2 or 3 knights down there. These are the main threat in this place, because if you drop down there and try to fight all 3 at once, you're probably going to have a bad time. I believe there's a dog. Yep, 2 dogs. Lightning resist talisman +1. And stacked barrels guarding smithing stone 5. Now, if you're really, really clever, what you can do, you can aggro the knights. They will then try to climb up this ladder right here. As you can see at the bottom of the ladder, there are exploding barrels. So as soon as the knight gets close to the ladder, you can then shoot it with a flaming arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now because it's kind of funny. I'm going to break out your short bow again. Make sure you've got fire arrows equipped, of course. Okay, so we got the knight. We're going to shoot him in the head, get his attention, and then when he goes to climb up the ladder, boom. 1 shot, 1 kill. Oh! Saves you a little bit of trouble fighting them in hand-to-hand, but otherwise, as a spellcaster, really not necessary, but these little tricks are kind of nice to know in case you do a different build later on. Okay, safe to drop down. In fact, I'm going to drop down right here and grab this item behind. And that knight completely ignored that I was close by. Oh, dogs. And let's see how we're going to do this. More dogs. So this is why you want to be careful about approaching. And the dog is being super guarded. Unbelievable. No, thank you, Sir Knight. We do not want any sword today. That could have gone a lot worse. More dogs. Okay, now that all this is clear, probably should have focused on killing enemies first and looting second. Troll's Hammer, I believe, strangely enough, is an intelligence strength weapon. I may be confusing it with something else. Where are we at here? Troll's Hammer. Strength Faith. Okay, so the boss fight is actually over here. Now you can fight this guy straight up. Probably a good idea to have a two-handed weapon if you're doing melee, strike weapons preferably. Elemental weapons also work very well. The other thing you can do is similar to how we destroyed that knight by the ladder. You can have your short bow ready with fire arrows. And as you can see, the boss is standing next to exploding barrels, so if you shoot those, he takes significant damage. And then you can finish off with whatever weapons you want, or you can wait until he gets close to any of these other exploding barrels and explode those too. Okay, Great Club. That one is the intelligence strength weapon. Okay, what do we have next? I think there are a couple of spirit springs. I'll jump up here. There's a site of grace right here I'll activate for convenience, even though it is technically inside Mount Gelmir. We will get it just for the fast travel purposes. The other thing you can do is if you want, you can start here at this side of Grace and head up the road. There is a teleporter here which will take you from this side of the bridge all the way up here, and then you can head down. In fact, actually, that's a much better idea, now that I think about it. We'll be doing a lot of back and forth here too. Once we actually interact and talk to Gold Mask, we'll need to come back this way to let Corin know where Gold Mask is, and then he will, at that point, move over to the other side of the bridge as well. Not much along the road here. A couple of Landale soldiers if you really, really want. More runes. When these guys line up like this, it's always fun to take everybody out with one cast. There's also a merchant up here who will sell a number of items. Finger Reader Crone if you want some more lore. Look at all these runes we got. As I said, you will catch up very quickly if you are falling behind. Okay, so Stone Sword Keys, you can never have enough of those. Lightning Pot if you like to throw things. A couple of fashion statements in terms of shields and chest armor. And a couple of hints if you wanted to play blind. In which case, why are you watching a walkthrough video? Okay, so this fast travel teleporter will take us right over here. Your closest site of grace on this side is actually down below. And there should be a spirit spring right down there. Show you how to get that in just a second. Old Mask doesn't really say anything. He's just pointing to the Erd Tree. Actually, kind of not pointing at the Erd Tree, is he? He's pointing somewhere else. Oh, he's not pointing at the minor Erd Tree. You can't actually see the Erd Tree because of the fog, but it is right there. Okay, so the Spirit Spring is... where is it? Right there. Doesn't really look like you can reach it, but you actually can, so just double jump and you will land right here. Jump right back up, and the Site of Grace is under the bridge. It is right here. Okay, so we're going to head back to Brother Corrin. Brother Corn Dog. And we will tell him about Gold Mask.
Well then. Do from your discord bless and to you too. May the golden orb.
Okay, so to get back up there, you can do the long way around, or you can just use the Spirit Spring once again. Try not to fall off and take falling damage. High skill maneuvers. Old Mask still will not talk to us.
Thanks to you and taking my have no fear. Though we must do the mass while I friend. Though I know that the golden.
Okay, so now Corrin has gained some additional incantations. The Discus of Light, on top of the Great Heal. So this is one of probably the most efficient damage spells you can get as an incantation user. So definitely want to grab that if you are playing with Faith instead of Intelligence. But for now, this is the last time we will talk to these guys. The next time we see them will be in the capital down around here. So now we're going to go get Gold Mask's hat, which is on this section here, which involves running down through this road, jumping off right here. So, fast travel. Or jump down the Spirit Spring once again. Now we are going to take out this entire caravan because it has the Great Stars weapon, which is probably one of the best... arguably one of the best melee weapons in the game. Even though we're not doing a melee build, this is a completionist run, so figure where all of that good stuff is. As usual, you do need to damage the trolls in order to get the caravan to stop moving. You could theoretically take out both trolls with Night Comet if you really, really wanted to. May not actually even be that bad of an idea, since if you do take everything out, you get a refill on your potions. So, Great Stars. Super good. And what am I in combat with now? Full soldiers. Your shield is useless against my magics. Okay, so you want to go up over here and jump across. Then down, and right on the ruined part here is the actual Radiant Gold Mask. You too can cosplay as a sunflower if you really want to. The good news is that if you are going to use this, it gives you a, I believe, 2 to 3% bonus on all all Golden Order incantations. Okay, that's done. We're going to head back down and clear these ruins. These are the bloody ruins, which will have the NPC that you need to invade in order to satisfy the next step of Vare's quest. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Keep in mind, if you have been relying on any of the great runes, defeating this enemy, you are technically the invader. So great runes do turn off during invasions. So if you have been using, let's say, the Godric Great Rune for any stat requirements, that's not going to be effective here. None of the stuff that we have in this build currently relies on that, so that shouldn't be an issue, but it is important to keep that in mind. The ruins have a bunch of dogs. These guys used to be bugged and would hit you like 50 times in one bite. I believe they have been patched long since, but you do still want to take them out because fighting like 5 or 6 of these guys at the same time while you're trying to do literally anything else is a bad idea. Also, they occasionally drop sacrificial buds, which are good for making the anti-rot bolus. Alright, a couple more of these dudes. Unfortunately, I believe that they may also respawn, if I'm not mistaken, once we do the invasion. There is a minor boss fight here. This is the Sanguine Noble that will be guarding the, what do you call it, the Bloody Hellas. This is a heavy thrusting sword that does primarily bleed damage. Once again, very simplified fight. If you are starting to get reluctant about how easy the game has been for the most part as a spellcaster, do not fear. Once we get to the DLC, things will change significantly. Spellcasting is much more difficult in the DLC than it is in the base game. This is done intentionally by FromSoft. They think they know what they're doing. I think they probably went a little too far on nerfing the power of spellcasting, but it's sort of a trade-off. You know, you are having a little bit of an easier time here with this fight, or I'm sorry, in the base game than you do on the DLC. So, pick and choose. Okay, somewhere, there we go. I was looking for this invasion sign. So make sure you're topped off. This guy starts out relatively close to you, so you won't have a lot of time to prepare. He is a melee specialist using the Great Stars. Killing this guy will get you your second Great Star. So if you wanted to dual wield those... Oh, I have no festering bloody finger. I didn't even know you needed those. That's silly. Can we craft those? Okay, I think I'll have to buy one from... what's his face in Stormvale.
I can I?
There we go. Alright. That means I'm going to have to run all the way back down here. Which means I should have gotten this side of Grace originally anyway. Oh, well, that's how it goes. Good thing Torrent runs pretty fast. Good news is that you only have to defeat this one NPC in order to advance the quest. You don't actually need to do all 3 invasions if you're doing the multiplayer version. All right. Go. So, for some reason, he gets to do multiple attacks. I think one of those is technically an incantation, but whatever. So this time, before fast traveling back to Vare, I'm going to actually finish the run and get to that other side of Grace on the bridge. Alright, so done. And we will be heading west. No loot in that particular trailer. Bunch of guys standing around. Okay, so back to Vare. Now, when you complete this part of the quest, you are going to have an effect added to your eyeballs on your character. It will turn them red. You can turn this effect on or off. As mentioned, I think a couple of videos ago, there are 3 different types of eyeball effects. There is the Dragon Communion, which will give you kind of yellowish dragon eyes. The Bloody Eye effect from Vare here. And the last one is the Frenzied Flame effect, which is more of an orangish yellow burning eye effect. You unfortunately cannot choose between which one of these you have. They follow a priority system. Don't remember exactly what it is, but it's, I think that the Bloody Eyes overwrite the other 2. I could be wrong about that. So just keep that in mind. If you want one of those particular types of eye effects, you have to not do the other 2 quests. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So Vare has given us a piece of cloth. We need to anoint it with the blood of a maiden. The easiest way to do that is to go up here to the Church of Inhibition. There is Vike's Dead Maiden, which you can use. You can also use the Dead Maiden at the very, very beginning of the game in the starting zone. I believe you can also actually kill Hayeta if you really want to be a monster and use blood from that as well. So, but this one's right here next to the Site of Grace. Doesn't cost you anything. Very, very easy and fast. And we can head back to Vare. Once you've got this done, he will actually give you the True Blood Knight medal, which acts as a teleporter. It will take you directly to the what's the name of it? The Dynastic something grounds or whatever. Basically, it's the palace for Moog. This would be your quick shortcut to start the DLC if you've done the other 2 requirements. There are also a number of items that can be grabbed inside of that area without fighting anything. I believe it's Summerstone 8 and 9. A couple of things like that. It's up to you if you want to go ahead and skip ahead. The other nice part is that the medal can be used like the Memory of Grace, except that it does not cost you to lose all of your runes. Despite the fact that he tells you that you mustn't use it right away, there is literally no penalty for using it, so... Oof, takes you right there. You can use this to get out of a number of areas. Sometimes it's not available to use in combat. I'm not sure exactly what determines when it can or can't be used. Mogwin Palace, that's the name of it. So, as you can see, this is right next to the hunting grounds that we just cleared last video. There is a site of grace right up here, I want to say. Nope, there it is. And if you want, what you can do is run up around this area here, and right here on this spot here behind the altars, there is a chest with a level 9 smithing stone or an ancient dragon smithing stone. One of the two. I don't remember. It's pretty dangerous to do at this level, though, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. And head back to Altus Plateau. So we cleared all the southern area. There are still the windmills. Let's go ahead and do those now. So there's a dude here we can kill for some items. And there's a boss right here. So this boss is a Godskin disciple, or whatever they're called, the tall skinny ones. You can get Millicent to help you with this fight as a summon, but you have to do the Shaded Castle first and grab the prosthetic, which is right here, to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and run over there very quickly and grab that, and then just so I can show you where that summon sign is. But Shaded Castle is getting its own video. We're going to run around the corner here to the Spirit Springs. A little bit of navigation. Let's see, there's another one here somewhere. There it is. There's one other item I'll grab as long as I'm down here. And that is the, what's it called? The Ant Spur Rapier. This is a rot thrusting sword, which can have its Ashes of War changed. A lot of people use it combined with the fingerprint shield to make a very, very effective combination of bleed and poison or bleed and rot. I believe you can even set it up in such a way to where you get all 3 status effects. Not an expert in that particular playstyle, so you would want to look up a video if that was something you're interested in. Alright, I'm going to head all the way around to the far side, avoiding all of these slugs. So just around the corner here, there is a golem, and nearby the golem is Melee Marays, call him M&M. When you kill him, you get his mask and sword, I believe, and the robe. The mask adds 1 point arcane. Also, looks kind of cool. Nice piece of fashion for all of your gear opportunities. Killing the golem does not get you anything, and there's nothing else up there, so do not waste your time. Access to the castle we want is right here. Now, the area that we want with the prosthetic is actually up around the corner. And to get there, we need to run around just a little bit here. Avoid these zombies. They will try to grab you with a grab attack. It's pretty annoying. And you can see that the plants are also trying to shoot at me. Now, do not drop down over here. There is a Royal Revenant, which will pop up out of the ground there. You do not want to tangle with those dudes if you can help it. More zombies. So what's going to happen here is that I'm actually going to be stuck in combat because of all these zombies, so I may have to jump out of the way later on. Right here inside this chest is the item we want. So, this is where using that curable ignite metal comes in handy. Okay, so now we can give this to Millicent, and she will move to her next location, which is up north by the windmills.
Now she's passed.
So the wild part is, if you do all of this to get her the prosthesis before fighting Magma Worm Makar in Liurnia,
Perhaps
he will actually have a summon sign there for you to help you fight the Magma Worm. I am not sure how you would go about ignoring everything between here and there. You'd have to do all of Kaled first, then get both halves of the Dectus Lift, then do Shaded Castle before ever fighting the Magma Worm. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, just a little bit of trivia. So, next time we see her, she's going to be up here, so let's go ahead and do that now. And mark off all of the windmills. And we want to get back up to the upper level, so we're going to run and jump off the cliff here and use the Spirit Spring once again. Each one of the windmills has a slightly different set of items or crafting materials. Don't forget this guy here too. So if you do not like the way the funny curved hat looks, oh yeah, to watch out for this. These guys love their power bombs. If you do not like the way that the curved hat of Renala looks, defeating this guy will give you a Haima Glintstone Crown. This is +2 strength and +2 intelligence. Yeah. Theoretically, what I should do is use this helmet so that I can equip Lusat's stat, which does have a 10 strength requirement. I'm not going to do that. That's a pain in the butt. Also, looks, I think, worse than the Queen's hat. But it's up to you. The rest of the set does nothing. It's not giving any bonuses. It is just fashion. Rats, as usual, kind of annoying. Potentially, they can drop rune arcs. If you really, really like rats, you could then summon spirit rats. I've never seen anybody actually use them, so that would be kind of a funny build. You don't actually have to fight these ladies, but they do potentially drop any pieces of their armor and occasionally a Celebrant's Sickle, which does give a very, very, very small bonus to rune gains while it is equipped. I think it's a hatchet. I don't remember, honestly. I know that people spend a lot of time farming for it, though, so... Why did these things have so many hit points? Noble set and twinned knight sword. That is a twin blade. That is not two swords. The hood, once you have maximum intelligence, can be equipped to add 1 point of mind. Otherwise, it looks exactly the same as Roderica's cape. It's just blue instead of red. Next up, we have a windmill that is the spot for farming the long-haft great axe. If you don't want to farm at Castleborn, this spot has 2 or 3 of these guys. I don't remember. There's a site of grace very close nearby, up next to the next windmill. Dogs, of course. Okay, where is it? There's site of grace right there. Okay, so there's a few items scattered throughout here. The most important one is a rune arc. Everything else is kind of skippable. You don't really need it. All of these women will sit there and dance. They won't attack you unless you attack them. Outside of a few exceptions. Trying to remember where all of the items are in here. Some runes. What am I forgetting? There we go. Rune arc. Let's figure it out, Torrent. Get up there. Somehow I didn't see her. Okay, lady. You asked for it. Lightning grease. So valuable. Okay, so the boss is actually right up at the top here. So you probably do want to take out the remainder of these women just on the off chance that your fight takes you down here by accident. You don't want to accidentally be fighting the boss and all of these NPCs at the same time. Also, a refill on the potions is always welcome. You also probably don't want to fight from horseback. This boss does a couple of weird things, including some ranged attacks. You do want to be able to dodge roll if necessary, so here we go. Oh, I was going to show you the Millicent summon location. She is... Where is she at? I don't remember. Somewhere around here. There it is. So Millicent will be right there if you need to summon her. Back to the boss. Did I lose him? Nope. So these guys technically have a phase 2 at 50% hit points. Well, they'll do this, in which case they'll start doing lots of windmill attacks and stretching out and all kinds of weird stuff. This guy is not really a main boss, so he will use his attacks less than he otherwise might. Pretty standard tactics apply, keeping your distance. Outside of those kind of stretchy attacks, you really don't need to worry that much about what he's doing. Good to go. He does drop the Godskin Peeler, which is another twin blade. For whatever reason, Altus has an obsession with twin blade weapons. In case you wanted to be a walking blender. Alright, after defeating the boss, Millicent shows up, and you can talk to her once again.
Oh, the arm you gave. It feels. Perhaps it is us. It is the. It is the.
So, this is the last time we will be seeing Millicent until after the capital. She will move up to the mountaintops. Alright. Done, and done. Keep in mind, inside the... I think it's the capital. There is a painting, in which case you'll come back down here. The painting will be right here, outside of Windmill Village. There's also a painting in the Shaded Castle, which is right here. We won't be able to obtain that just yet. So, next up, we're going to head down the hill, stopping off at this windmill, and we're going to clear out these ruins. 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys are... or this area is full of worm faces. These are death blight spewing baddies. They're pretty slow, but the boss is very, very large and does have grab attacks. They can be a real problem if you are not very, very careful, because you can die instantly from death blight, and especially if it gets the grab attack on you, it will almost completely fill up your death blight meter, causing you to die instantly. Not fun. Fortunately, like I said, he's very large, so very easy to hit with our spells. There is another site of grace right down here at the bottom of the hill, too. Somewhere. And I've missed it somewhere. I go right past it. Or maybe I'm just remembering completely wrong. Not that important, I guess. Okay. Worm faces look like this. They're dudes with cloaks, and their name is very descriptive. They have a face with lots of worms coming out of it. Generally speaking, you don't want to waste your time fighting them unless they are directly in your way. They do have a combo with these slugs. The slugs will spit a goo at you that, if it hits you, will cause you to be very, very slow, which in turn allows the worm faces to potentially get more hits in with their death blight. So just be aware of that. Try not to get off your horse if you don't have to. Shoot the worm faces from extreme range whenever possible. And watch out for the clouds of death blight. Ash of War, Golden Butt Slam. Oops. I missed number 2. The boss is directly next to the large tree right down here. So leave that for last until you are actually ready. He is surrounded by the Gardener or the Guardian types that have the Guardian Sword Spear. We've seen those multiple places throughout the game. I do recommend that you take out any of his guards first. Once again, you don't want to be fighting a boss and minions at the same time, if you can help it. Ooh, nice. Well, that guy's fast. Whoa. Alright. Gravelstone. And the Icon Shield. Now, the Icon Shield is a great shield. It also provides a small amount of health regeneration while equipped, which does stack with other health regeneration effects, like the Blessed Dew Talisman. Okay, that's done. Let's see, we have one here, and one here. So 1, 2, and 5. Very, very minor set of ruins. Also, at the very, very the very south end here, there is a cave with upgrade materials. Alright, a couple more of these guys. The Wrath of Gold. Okay, so that's all of these done. We'll do the cave next, and then when we're done with that, we'll grab the boss. Alright, what are we doing here? South. Okay, so surprisingly enough, this is actually a bit of a unique dungeon. This is the north side of the dungeon. There's another entrance, excuse me, right down here next to the rune bear we saw earlier. They technically do not connect, but they do share space, so it'll make more sense. One of the rooms here, you'll be able to see the other side of the dungeon. There'll be one of those Astel antlion enemy types hanging from the ceiling, throwing rocks at everything, but you cannot actually go directly from one to the other. All right. Could have swore there was an item there. Oh, got marionettes. Rune Arc. And more Smithing Stone 5s. Slugs, or snakes. Of course, they hit me for like 2 damage to turn off my talisman. Amazing. So there's a couple, actually there's 3 or 4 of those winged marionettes along the walkway here. As you can see, there's one there. 2, and then number 3. I believe there's a 4th one directly above. I keep getting dinged for chip damage. You know what I should do? Where's that Serpent God sword? There we go. Giving up a little bit of damage here temporarily to get my hit points back to max. Oh, almost forgot the smithing stone. Okay, so as you can see, there's one of those guys over there. He's going to sit there and throw rocks the entire time. You can try to fight him from this end. I don't recommend it. There's not anything super important up along these things, but we'll come back for those after we've killed that antlion from the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of this cave, and I'll show you how to get to the other end next. And the boss is right here anyway. You know, in fact, what I should do is just keep that Serpent God staff handy and then swap back and forth as needed. Okay, so as you can see through the door here, there's a couple of Crystallians. These guys follow the normal rules of Crystallians. They won't take hardly any damage until you've hit them enough times and break their stance. You can switch to Rock Sling if you really, really want to, but honestly, Carrion Slicer will be more than enough after enough hits are done. Now, you can also use Night Comet, of course. I recommend the fully charged wings, but truthfully, Carrion Slicer is more than sufficient. You just have to hit them a lot. Oh, get off. Spear that stretches its hitbox to hit you and interrupt you. Yeah, whoever designed these bosses, honestly, kinda silly. And the second I start casting, he animation reads and throws more discs. I really, really hope, and this is a little bit of bitching at this moment, so please feel free to fast forward. I really hope that whatever the next FromSoft game is does not have animation reading. It's one of the laziest ways to increase difficulty I can think of. Please program your bosses to have actual fight mechanics instead of simply copying what we do instantly and punishing us for acting. Okay, so the other side of this dungeon to be approached from here. We're going to head up the pathway past the rune bear again. Actually, it might be faster to come from this way. Now that I think about it, come right here. we are going to be running past the two... Actually, you know what? I'll go and take out the tree sentinels. They are technically on the inside of Altus Plateau. Now, if you come at it from this side, you can actually fight them one at a time. Now, the guy with the shield, he's the same as the one in Limgrave. He will deflect your spells, so you really do want to be using Carrion Slicer. You can use Point Blank Night Comet if you really want to. Slicer is just faster and easier. Doesn't do anything different. Slam attack 50%. You do want to jump over the ground slam. Stay behind him as much as possible on the butt, but you do a lot more damage now than you ever did in Limgrave. So, as you can see, very, very fast kill. And then we'll get to the second one. The second one has a torch instead of a shield, which is odd for a tree sentinel, which is meant to be protecting trees from fire, but who knows. For this guy, you do not have to worry about deflecting your spells, but otherwise you fight him exactly the same. Stay on the horse's butt. Chop, chop, chop. How dare you. My no-hit run is spoiled. Now the nice part is the Erd Tree Great Shield, if you are using a shield build, the Ash of War on it allows you to reflect spells. It's pretty cool. Useful against lots of different bosses. Super, super good in PvP also, apparently. Although if anybody sees that you have it equipped, they will probably not cast spells that can be reflected, so... I am the last person you should probably ask about PvP. Okay, so in this particular cave, we have perfumers. These are the capital Erd Tree sponsored alchemists, medics, etc. Doctors, I guess you could say. Technically, they're the good guys, although I don't know that anybody in service of America and the Two Fingers could be called good guys. Typical with all Souls games, there really aren't any good or bad guys. There's mostly just people doing what they have to survive. Although King Allant, I guess, was pretty evil in Demon Souls. Okay. So, down here we have... Nope, just a little bit farther. Oh, meant to use Night Comet there. Alright, buddy, come on. You... So you do want to kill this plant. The reason why is because in the very next room is that antlion spewing rocks. And I got hit by the poison. Don't forget, after you kill that plant, right over here, there's a couple of chests. Alright, top off the health. So what you want to do is wait for the stupid thing to start throwing its rocks and then duck behind cover right here. Pop out. Now, if you're doing a melee build, you don't have high damage at range. You can always use a great bow or like a long bow or a short bow or something. All of those work effectively. So over there is the other side where we were previously. As soon as I finish this dungeon, I'll go back and clear out that remaining area. Fortunately, the boss is right around the corner. Not that you can really call it a boss. It's literally just an omen killer and a plant. This is about the least bossy boss you can think of. Not that you really need strategy for this, but obviously the plant is stationary, the omen killer is not, so take out the omen killer first. Don't get nuked from orbit. Fire to interrupt if it does the poison cloud. Although if you really want, you probably should just let it do the poison cloud and then back up and shoot it with missiles. Super difficult. So, Great Omen Killer Cleaver, one of the better great axes in the game. Comes default with bleed on it. You can set it to cold and do both. And you can get a second one in Volcano Manor. Okay, let's see. Back to the other cave. We'll speed run through to the part that I missed. Okay, and as you can see now, the ant lion is dead. We don't have to worry about getting shot by missiles while we are doing parkour. More platforming, everybody's favorite part of Dark Souls games. Oh, and don't get hit by little turds who followed us over here. More? Okay, so we want to head up to the top of this route here. There are a couple of items up above, and then we'll drop down below. You can actually, why don't I drop down below first, make it easy. Instead of risking more falls. If you fall off here, it is instant death. That is a bottomless pit down below. That is not an area that you can reach and explore. As to be expected, the routes here are set up in such a way so that the geometry is really bad and you are more likely to slip off. So go very, very slowly. Especially at the top, there's a little bump here on the route. Arsenal Charm +1, so if you're having equipment load issues, that should help quite a bit. Okay, so those two are done, connected. I believe that's everything except there is a small camp right here. This tower. A blade lion here. Some runes. Oh, the dragon, yeah. And let's do this fight next. This is a minor... Oh, what are they called? Falling Star Beast. He's going to have some upgrade materials for us. Let's go here. Okay, so the next boss is a Falling Star Beast. We fought one of these before in Celia Crystal Tunnel in Caelid. This time there's a lot more open space, so if you do want to, you can use Torrent. I've seen both tactics work, both from horseback and on foot. Personally, I think fighting from horseback is a terrible idea, but I've seen people beat these guys without ever being hit while fighting from horseback without using a UI. So pick whichever way you like best. Mostly there's not a lot to deal with. Watch out for the rocks. Watch out for the gravity attacks on the ground. Obviously, if it charges at you, dodge that as well. Now there's a gravity attack. You want to run sideways and jump at the last second. Mostly you want to do enough damage to kill these things fast enough so you are exposed to fewer attacks. Don't get animation red like that. Even these guys have that crap. The second you go to drink a potion, you're going to have to deal with some kind of garbage. But rapid fire should serve you pretty well. Just watch out for that one time when you've got to refill your FP. So, alright, we got some Somber 5, Smithing Stone 6. 5 of those, so we should be able to actually upgrade the staff 1 more or 2 more levels. Let's go talk to EG. And in fact, I should have talked to EG after giving Ronnie the Fingerslayer Blade.
Have you heard long? It would not as late you. I've served. It has been a long now late. I pray that.
A little bit of additional lore there. Yep, that's 1 more level. I need 3 more stones for the next level. Those, I think, are obtained... I'll be able to get those in Gelmir. Right... Actually, right here. I wonder if I should go do that right now. No, it's not right here. It's further up the mountain. It's actually over here is what I'm thinking of. Somewhere. Anyway, we'll leave that for Gelmir for now. In the meantime, we've got the tower, the camp here, and the dragon fight still left to do. So, now on your way to the tower, there are catapults that are going to shoot at you. There's a couple ways you can deal with this. You can go right at the middle so you can see the attacks coming and get out of the way, which is probably the easiest. Or you can skirt around either to the left or right and try to avoid the attacks entirely. But let's go ahead and go straight at the middle. As you can see, got rocks flying. Do a little zigzag. Grab this golden seed. Try not to get hit on the way. Once you get close enough, they'll stop shooting. Okay, good to go. One more of these guys somewhere. Whatever strategist thought it was a good idea to try to shoot a sprinting horse with a trebuchet maybe shouldn't be in command. Gonna throw that out there. Golden Rune 9. I'm gonna have the Lightning Slash Ash of War off of this scarab. Alright, good to go. Mark that is done too. Head down to the tower. Now along the way to the tower there's a couple of enemy troops and a knight. Nothing too dangerous. Guys with crossbows, guys with spears. Pretty standard stuff. And why, for some reason, there's a summoning stone here, but you can't summon anything. Very strange. bad guys. Get sliced. Be very, very careful not to fall off the edge here while attempting to grab a loot. And at the very top, there should be a chest that has the great bow that all of the knights use. Although the Ash of War that they use is not included here. I believe that's obtained from Northern Caelid next to the painting and the laser golem. You know what I'm talking about? You know what a pain that is. Okay, down here we'll get the Blade Cat, some runes, and I believe there's a Site of Grace right here, and then we'll fight the dragon. Then Sax. They force you to fight a lightning-using dragon while it's raining. So, your defenses will be lower than they should. And it's a dragon, so it resists damn near everything. Fortunately, we have range ourselves, so shooting the dragon in the head should be reasonably effective. Okay, where are we at here? Wait. Should be able to slide down right here safely, hopefully. Falling damage is sometimes very strange in Elden Ring. Okay, so killing this dude right here, he will turn into one of those cats with the sword on their arm. So be prepared for that. Oh, one more hit should do it. There we go, and that is one more larval tier. What if I get all four of these guys? Nope. Out of the ground, there's going to be these poison things. You can't actually kill them until they start spewing their poison, and even then the hitbox is really weird. Pretty annoying, actually. Be easier to get poisoned and then cure the poison later. Okay. Back up the road and get to that Site of Grace. Helps if I get off the horse first. Okay. 1, 2. Alright, so we have a hero grave, a chapel. There's a scarab here for the rolling lightning goat Ash of War, which, as dumb as that sounds, it's exactly what it sounds like. Literally, you start rolling and you have lightning on you. It's pretty dumb. But it can be put on any weapon as far as I know. Miss it? No, it's further down the hill. Over here. This guy will attack you, by the way, if you give him a chance. Another graveyard. I always forget about this one. More runes. So many runes at this point. Okay, so there's a knight out front. And then on the inside, there are a couple of foot soldiers. Waiting to ambush you, of course, because ambush is everything in Dark Souls. More incantations. More gravel stones. And this is one of the rare temples that has actually got a statue of Radagon instead of Marika. Alright, back to the hero grave. There is a black knife assassin out front. This one is very similar to the one we fought in the Bellum Road dungeon in Liurnia. It does have the ability to shoot destined death stuff off of its knife, but otherwise is pretty similar to all other black knives. In other words, we're going to shoot it a lot with Night Comet, and it probably won't get a chance to do anything. Oh, well, maybe it will. It's got a lot of hit points. We had to dodge once. Oh no! It does give you the actual black knife, though. Which, if you wanted to use that weapon as a knife user, pretty damn good. I'm going to activate the Site of Grace down here and then go fight the dragon. I don't know if I remember right, this particular hero grave is relatively short, so maybe I'll just knock it out. Crimson Seed Talisman, if I remember right, increases how much you heal for. Yes, it boosts the amount that your potions heal for. Yeah. Okay, so this trick dungeon, the gimmick here is that there will be enemies covered in shadow, and the way that you get them out of shadow and so that you can actually damage them is by bringing them into the various light or lit areas. There's light beams, which you'll see. They're very obvious. These guys down here, you can see how he's covered all in shadow. He'll be immune to damage until you lure them into those light beams over there. Okay, if I remember right, there is a Royal Revenant. Yes. I gotta DPS this guy really fast. There we go. Why is that guy there? I have no idea. I mean, your loot is a spirit upgrade item. Let's double check here. Yeah, no secret doors, no hidden walls, just time wasting. Okay, so we start out with one normal guy. Let's go blast him. And then there will be the shadowed ones, which you have to lure back here. And they get stunned. And then you can chop them. Okay, so the light circle is around the corner, so you actually have to run past these guys. Had to use Slicer there. Let's double check. All right, all clear. Straightforward. Inside this square of pillars, the floor will break, dropping you down. Fortunately, it will drop you right into a circle of light, so you'll be relatively safe from the enemies that immediately attack. Okay, so there's a couple of things to do here. As you can see, there's lots of blades chopping up and down. You can ride them up to the passageways at the second level, and eventually you need to get all the way past them to the boss door. You will encounter zombies, of course, which will try to grab you. There's a couple of enemies you need to lure all the way back to the light circle in order to get the boss door open. I believe, I could be mistaken about this, but I believe that you can kill shadowed enemies with the blades that are chopping up and down, but don't quote me on that. Okay, zombies and spirit spewers. Let's go ahead and take out the guy with the bell first. Then we'll get the zombies. There's another one somewhere. I hear him. Where is he? There he is. Can never have too many stone sword keys. Alright. Physical resistance talisman +1. If I remember right, this just takes you right back to the room where the floor breaks. Yep. So let's head back down to the blade chopping room. Hallway thing. Okay, so what we want is to get up to that second level. I believe you have to get around the corner to reach that. Of course, try not to get hit by the chopping blades in the process, or grabbed by something in the mean. Oh, he got me on the blade. What a dirtbag. Get off. Okay, we'll just take this one instead. Oh, that's right. There's literally a ladder. Making things more complex than they need to be. Okay, so see that little dust puff on the ground? That is another Royal Revenant. Yeah, I think Slicer should do for him, just like the last one. Perfect. And this is the walkway above where I just had a weird time being grabbed by a zombie. Where did that guy on the horse go? He ran off? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. This guy up ahead, he is a gladiator who is shadowed. I'm going to lure him all the way back up the stairs to the light circle before I can hurt him. In order to do this, I've got to avoid being chopped at the same time and avoid being grabbed by the zombies. Lots of spam rolling. Okay, good to go here. Now occasionally if you get too far away from him, he will start to retreat. In which case you need to... Oh, don't get chopped. There we go. Ooh, almost got picked there. So if he starts to retreat, all you need to do is just get close enough for him to want to attack you again. So what'll happen is like this. Oh, maybe they patched it. Oh well. Good for me. Anyway, what will sometimes happen is once you get to the top of the stairs here, he will start to back up. You just need to get right up next to him and he'll do an attack which will move him a little bit forward. Dodge that, repeat until you can get him into the light circle. So, alright, killing that guy opens the door to the actual boss, which is once again all the way past the chopping knives. So try not to get chopped on the way. And if I remember right, the boss is another red wolf. We've fought 2 or 3 of these guys at this point, so you should know pretty well how to fight them. Just remember, their first 2 attacks are usually a fake out. Oh, nope, it's the Hero of Zamor. Literally one of the easiest bosses for us to fight. Shockingly difficult. Still in combat. So, though that's the zombies out front. So, use this to get out of the combat back to the front of the dungeon, and we can fast travel back to the site of grace and fight Landsax, ancient dragon Landsax, sacks of land parties. He is right here, or she is right here, so let's do it. It's so annoying. Dragons suck to fight. A couple of things to keep in mind when fighting Landsax. As soon as the dragon descends from the sky, it will start raining, if it isn't already. This means that your lightning resistance will be lowered. Any of the lightning attacks that the dragon uses will do more damage. The plus side is that if the dragon breathes fire, you will actually take less damage from the fire, but the dragon fire attacks do so much damage, I don't think it will matter for me. I'll probably just get 1 shot. Dragons resist damn near everything up to 40%. I don't believe they can actually be stance broken. And headshots do more damage, but the head is usually the hardest part of the body on the dragon to hit. Also, don't be smacked by the dragon on the way down. It looks like our damage is pretty good, though. Okay. Double smash, or that's the sweep. Has both a sword component. Oh, there's the fire. I'm gonna get burnt. Oh, pretty close. Most of the ground effects you can jump over. This is one of the few fights that I actually recommend that you do fight from horseback. You also have a fairly limited ground space, and I'm being harassed by a lightning ram. Get away from me, ram. Don't need to fight you and the dragon at the same time. Just a tail swipe. Couple more hits. Boy, that ram is really trying his best, isn't he? Ooh, that went surprisingly well. Alright, dude, you asked for it. Flat. Normally that doesn't go that easy. Headshots do additional damage, as I said. Apparently I just got really lucky there. He did not do most of his lightning ground attacks. As I started to say, this is one of the few fights I do actually recommend that you fight from horseback because you can double jump over a lot of the damage. And of course, having the extra speed to be able to get out of the way of the fire, as you saw, very beneficial. So hopefully it goes as easily for you as it did for me. But that is Altus Plateau. Oh, no, I almost forgot. We got this puzzle right here. But after that will be the last thing to do. Okay. So this tower puzzle gives you a couple of spells. One to hide your weapon, the other to hide your stealth. So if you want to run back to enemies, I believe that it's not perfect invisibility. I think it's just like after a certain distance away, you're just not detected. So for the purposes of running through areas or speed running, it's effectively invisibility, which I believe most speedrunners don't allow you to use. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, slightly different puzzle dungeon, as each one of these is got its own unique mechanic. This one, you need to activate the, for lack of a better word, the control panel, and then find the 3 runes scattered around the area and then activate them. If I remember right, there is also a scarab along the way. There it is. In the middle of these 3, doing a little dance, walking around. If these were ants, I would call it a death spiral, where they get stuck running around in a circle with no real direction. You can look that one up on the internet. It's pretty interesting. Not sure if worms do it. I don't think they do. But anyway, so here we have 3 phantom crests. They show you one right here, and they give you a map. The map is turned 90 degrees from your map. So the first one, of course, is here. The other 2 are scattered around. I believe there's one right here and one right here. Usually they are guarded by imps. The imps will continuously respawn. Let's see, is it right here? Yes. So just ignore the imps. Dismount, activate the rune. As you can see, the imps will die automatically. They may get a hit in on you, though, so be careful. Once again, this is a puzzle I did not figure out for myself. I don't know how anybody was supposed to know where this 3rd spot is. It is not clear or obvious in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what the developers were thinking. The imp that cues that you're close is nowhere near the actual rune. It is this rock right here. It makes no sense that this would be... I don't know who figured this out the first time, but whoever you are, thank you. This puzzle is stupid and the developers should be ashamed. But once you've got all 3, the spot will be revealed. Don't fast travel. I think if you do, you have to do the puzzle again. And a little bit of running here back to where we started. Tower has revealed itself. always check behind the ladder. Sometimes there's stuff back there. Oops. I was on my hit point recovery item the whole time. Alright, unseen blade, unseen form, and a slumbering egg for some reason. Okay. Double check. Yep, I think that's everything. So, next up, we have Shaded Castle. It'll get its own video. It's pretty quick. That should be a really, really fast video. And then Gelmir is going to be all of this area down here. All of this, climbing up the mountains, around everything up to Volcano Manor is all of the lava, except for a very small section here. So Gelmir is surprisingly large. So let's go ahead and park right here. I'll give myself 5 levels for Shaded Castle and 5 for Gelmir. Oh, you know what I'll do in addition to Shaded Castle? I will also include the inverted Aryan Study Hall. That way that video will be just a little bit longer. So, oh, you know what? I have Side of Grace at Shaded Castle. Nice. Okay. So, pretty easy so far. Nothing really challenging. Once the capital is accessed, things will start to get a little bit more difficult, especially going into like deep root depths and into the mountaintops. The game has a significant difficulty spike. So stick with me. Sorcery is very strong, but it does have some challenges into the late game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. My name has been Cowdog. This was episode 10, the Altus Plateau. I will see you in the next one.